Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. For those of you coming to us from Eventbrite, we are Vida. We are, there's the agenda real quick, sorry. So we're going to do introductions, logistics, and then we're going to get into the live coaching portion of this webinar. So, enable. With that being said, for those of you coming to us from Eventbrite, we are Vida. We are a life, health and wellness, leadership, and career coaching company. And my name is Justice, and I'm one of the relationship strategists here on the team. And what that means is whenever you're ready to have a conversation around exploring what coaching could be and how it could be a resource to you, you're going to end up on someone on my team's calendar, and we'll have a half-hour conversation where we just ask you some deeper questions to get to know more about you and hopefully pair you up with the perfect coach on our team for you. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop my calendar link now in case anyone does have anything they want to get off the top of their head. It is first come, first serve, and I would love to have a conversation with everybody. And so like I said, this event is a live coaching hour, so it's a little bit different than our other events if you've been to them. And what we're going to ask is that you'll raise your hand in Zoom, and then we are going to prioritize a line of people who raise their hand. And I'm going to spotlight you next to Robbie, and you're going to just ask your questions and have some live coaching. We're going to try to get through as many people as possible. And we do ask if you're speaking with Robbie, if you're comfortable coming on camera, that'd be awesome. If you'd rather just speak, that still works as well. And if you'd rather just write your question in the chat box, I'm going to read through those as well. But we're going to prioritize those videos, audio, and then chat box. And just be reminded that this is recorded and will be sent out to everyone. So pick and choose what you want to share. And it will also be posted on our YouTube channel. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Coach Robbie, and the floor is all yours.
Well, hello. I'm glad to be with you all on this Thursday. I want to share a little bit about me, kind of summarize who I am and how I engage with the world. So obviously, I'm a coach with Vida, and I coach from a life as well as a career perspective clients in this space. I have had tens of positions across the major sectors: corporate, academia, nonprofit. I've also owned my own businesses, and I'm a sociologist by training. My 2 degrees are both in sociology, the undergrad with a focus on cultural diversity and conflict management, and the master's social psychology, religion, and education. And I also serve as a coach and mentor with teens and young adults who have or are experiencing foster care or homelessness. On the fun side, because again, it's not all about work, you'll see me getting see me in the gym getting my Zumba on about 4 times a week. I am just a Zumba enthusiast, die hard. I'm also a fiber artist, love yarn. I'm a big movie screen fan, and the superhero genre is one of my jams. I'm an avid reader, crazy curious. I really own my creativity. I challenge myself on a daily basis to stay open to the possibilities. And overall, I thoroughly just enjoy supporting individuals, helping them figure out what their just right lifestyle and work life is. So that is me. So as we move forward, I wanted to first start, before we dive into the questions and maybe coaching some of you who are okay with getting on camera and asking specific questions. I want you to answer 2 questions in the chat, if you will, just to get everybody engaged and kind of thinking about what we're talking about here, because we're talking about what if I don't have a clue about what I want to do. So the first question that I want you to answer in the chat is this: have you always struggled with not knowing what you wanted to do? Have you always struggled with not knowing what you wanted to do? So if the answer is no, then when was the last time you were clear about what you wanted to do? And if the answer is yes, then I encourage you to take a guess. What do you think is at the heart of that struggle around not knowing? Okay. So again, have you always struggled with not knowing what you wanted to do? If not, when was the last time you were clear about it? And if yes, take a guess. What do you think is at the heart of that struggle? So that's the first question. The second one is, are you feeling any pressure to decide what you want to do? And is that pressure internal or external? Is the pressure internal or external? And if it's external, can you define the source of the pressure? Is it maybe a friend, a significant other, maybe a parent, a colleague, maybe a society, or maybe it's something else that I haven't thought about. So again, are you feeling any pressure to decide what you want to do? Is it internal or external? And if it is external, what do you think the source is? Or who do you think the source is? Okay. All right. So I am ready to chat with whoever would like to start.
And then Robbie, just so you're clear, there are a lot of yeses and a lot of internals in the chat.
Okay.
Yes.
Internals, interesting. More internals than externals?
Yes.
Okay. Nice to know.
And then there's one that says, no, I knew exactly what I wanted to do career-wise and have been doing it for 20 years, but my industry no longer serves me. I have lots of social pressure to decide what I want to do at this mid-career, midlife stage.
Okay. So lots of pressure to decide midlife, and that makes sense. The individual who said that, do you mind getting on camera and having a little conversation with me? Who said that? Are you with us today?
Hi, I said that.
Hi, and who may you be?
Um,
Did you say Stephanie?
yes,
Okay, hi Stephanie, good to meet you. So let's chat for a few minutes.
sure. So I have known exactly what I wanted to do career-wise since I was a teenager. I'm now 43. I've worked in intercollegiate athletics and professional sports for my entire career. I have gotten to the highest level and enjoyed it, but I found that the values in my industry are now pretty divergent from my personal values, and I have no idea what I want to do next and feel like I'm back in college trying to decide, even though I didn't really have that experience in college.
I like the fact that you have known what you wanted to do all this time, and now that you're mid-career, you're asking these questions. And so some of the things that I would want to ask you is, how do you want to contribute now? Because it's interesting, as we move through our lives, we change, and the environments that we find ourselves in also change. So think about how you've changed. Think about the environment that you want to be in and what you want to contribute in that environment. I often encourage my clients, instead of using the word work, I say, for the purpose of, when we're working together, I want you to think about it as your contribution, how you want to add value. So think about how you actually want to add value, and go a step further and ask yourself, who do you actually want to serve? And then think about the scope. Is it on a, maybe it's within your community, maybe it's just something one-to-one with individuals, maybe it's with your community, maybe it's with your, state. You can just continue until you go global. And so for you, I would encourage you to kind of think about that, because when you're at this particular crossroads, mid-career, I think a lot of people think about, well, what's my legacy? Not that it's about age and being older or anything. It's just we tend to think about that more because we've shifted and we've grown. We've had experiences, we've moved through things. And now we're thinking, as I go into this next act, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to deliver? What do I want to contribute? So what do you think that is, just off the top of your head?
I think I see myself now as more of a guide, a teacher, which is what I really enjoy about the work that I do now, but just isn't as available as it used to be in my industry because we're much more revenue and business focused than we were when I started. So that's what's important to me. I don't know yet who I'm meant to guide or who I want to guide, but I see myself gravitating towards those opportunities where I have the ability to take something complicated and make it simple and teach it to other people.
Okay, so I would definitely encourage you to journal on these questions. Like, ask yourself, what's your definition of success? Ask yourself, what are your lifestyle goals? Ask yourself, what are the things that you kind of lean into when you listen to things, when you surf the internet or social media, current, conversations and things that you hear that really resonate with you, just where you find yourself most interested. And I really encourage you to think about how you want to contribute and to whom and the scope, because I think that that really helps us to begin to form. So do a little journaling and write about that. Any questions that you specifically have, I encourage clients to get a journal and just write that question down, kind of be still for a little bit, and just really listen for the answer. Because I'm a firm believer that we have the answers to these. We just quickly say when someone asks, I don't know. I believe we do know. Sometimes there are reasons that are blocking us from moving forward with it. Fear is usually at the heart of that. But I really encourage you just to kind of journal and jot down some of those things. And when you have that question, when you have a question, just grab a pad. And I prefer that you write it versus type it, because typing is really fast. Writing makes you slow it down a little bit. And by writing it, you give yourself a chance to kind of slow down and think about, okay, as I ask this question, what's next for me? What do I really want to contribute? What do I want to be known for? Who do I want to impact? What cause do I want to address at this point? So how do those questions kind of land for you? Do they make sense? Do you think they'll be helpful?
I think they do make sense. And I definitely appreciate the point you made about writing versus typing. My question was going to be, and I think you just answered it, how to encourage that stillness when you are also deflecting or dealing with all of these societal pressures that say you need to decide what you're doing right now, particularly at this mid-career stage when you're thinking about starting something that might be completely new.
Yeah, the societal pressures are very real. And I like to say, kind of turn the volume down on that noise and turn the volume up on your inner wisdom and what really resonates for you and what feels good. That puts you at another space now. Then when you really figure that out, are there any pressures around going that direction, and what are they? And is there any fear underneath that? And what are you afraid of, if that is fear? So really thinking about that is really important. But I do recommend, as you're going through this kind of exploration, Stephanie, what I would encourage you to do is to take a couple more walks a week. And when you're taking those walks, that slows you down too. And you just have time to think. No earbuds, no listening to music or podcasts or anything, just you and nature. And just in your head, ask yourself that question: what's next? What do I really want to contribute? Who do I really want to be going forward? What do I want my legacy to be? Some people run away from the legacy question, but for some people, it really gets them to thinking about, what do I want it to be? I hope that was helpful.
I love that idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
And thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on camera and speaking with us today. So we currently have no one whose hands raised. So Robbie, if you're okay with this, what we can do is kind of just go down some of the comments that people have made. And if that person feels so inclined, they can jump on and have a conversation with you. If not, we can just go to the next person, but we can just kind of see how we're all feeling out there after the questions that you brought up. Does that sound okay?
Absolutely. And if need be, I've got some other questions and things to get them to journal about too.
Perfect. Well, I've struggled until actually we have a hand raise. We have Avery. Avery, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Hey, Avery, good to meet you. Glad you're here. How can I help?
My comment came to me as I was typing it, or just a sense of like your question. You said, well, have you always struggled knowing what you wanted to do? And my answer was no. And you said, if not, then when was the last time you was most clear?
Yes.
Right? Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in this interesting place. I've been here for a while where I feel like my 20s were like the heyday. Like I feel like we thought we were awesome and we didn't know enough to be scared. We didn't know enough I was just grateful for every opportunity, and they were all incredibly awesome and unique and amazing. And I never had to apply for jobs. I just was so in this learning space. but also in this doing and we can do the things, space that it just felt kind of like I followed the demand and the need. I followed the relationships that were like obvious, go this way type arrows. If you could imagine those flashing, like go this way kind of thing. And it feels like now that I have all the whole alphabet behind my name, I have gotten all the training, I've, become kind of established in my field. And I guess you actually have to choose, what do you want to be doing? Part of me feels like I've chosen the hardest field to specialize in, and it's hard.
Which is, what's the field? What field?
Social work and trauma.
Okay. Yes, social work is hard. I get it. I'm there with you.
And I'm the direction I want to go. I don't know quite how to do that and still, be able to handle all the adulting things. Like I don't really want to manage people right now. People are crazy. You haven't, you get it all sides. I don't necessarily want to go up. I want to maybe specialize more in the healing part of things.
Okay.
As a reprieve for myself. But also when people are in crisis, you don't really get to master the things that you get that you need every day just to be well, if that makes sense. So I feel like I know that's the direction I want to go. What I don't know how to do right now is maximize my current opportunity that I'm in. I just got news that my small but mighty team is about to lose someone. And so that person is a major part. And I don't want to be left holding this big old thing when I want to kind of go deeper in the nuance of how to coach, how to support people trying to implement systems that support their people.
How long have you been in this position?
I've been in this role since I'm in New Orleans, since COVID.
Okay,
I've been doing disaster recovery since Katrina, about 16 years. And I'm really just wanting to pivot to what does recovery look like for real?
And you mean recovery for you?
I mean recovery. I'm in New Orleans. I mean recovery is just always something we're recovering from. And I want to do it kind of like a lifestyle thing. And I want to I feel like what I'm wanting to do, there's no manual for it. And so I always am feeling like we're just constantly iterating. And so part of me wants to go down a established path.
So what's stopping you? What's stopping you from going down an established path? Because as you were talking, there were some things that seemed pretty clear to me that you want to do. So what's actually stopping you? Because it doesn't seem like you don't know what you want to do. So what's stopping you from doing it?
I think I don't have clarity around the pathway forward, and the funding is not there because it's not institutionalized what I'm trying to do. And I just don't know how to get there and not leave this really important work that we're doing in what I'm doing right now in schools and trying to figure out how to support teachers. It's important work.
It is important work.
Perfect place to be exploring this. And, it's fun, being in a field where funding, you would think, we would be backstroking in money. Everyone cares about mental health right now, but the money is not sustainable. It's literally from year to year, it's not sustainable where
Right.
people can get the support they need, or even like me have space to be. I feel like I'm missing mentorship. I don't know how to do what I want to do.
Okay. So I hear a couple things, like perhaps you haven't taken the time to build a professional board of directors. In other words, having a support squad where you have people there that represent various different things that you need, but you building a relationship with them. And I've found in working with a lot of clients that for some reason we have let go of the relationship building piece in all of this. Because as you move through your career, we're going to often come to a crossroads where you're going to want to make a decision to do something different. Again, to the conversation that I had with Stephanie, you're going to change. The circumstances that you're in within your position is going to change. And when you're working in a position with social work where you're helping people, that can really beat you down. Where you care, you have a servant's heart, you want to be there, you want to serve, you want to help. But at the same time, you have to take care of yourself. So what time are you carving out on the side to be able to explore this new path? Any? Or do you feel like you don't have that luxury?
I think I have been dabbling in all the self-care things. And I don't know quite how to string them together yet to meet me where I am. And I'm thinking maybe some of like what's unclear there is, when you've been a workaholic your whole life and then you're recovering and your field is designed for workaholics.
Yep.
And so, some of my hesitation is wanting to maybe figure out how to do the same things in a new way, in a space where it isn't affirmed. A lot of people benefit from social workers being workaholics.
Absolutely, they do.
Unboundaried.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of examples of what that looks like to do it in a healthy way and still feel effective. We're in a time where it's hard to be effective right now. So I feel like I'm in those crossroads there.
Yeah, I think it's time for you to really get clear about where are the gaps and what do you need, and then how to fulfill those. And so, sometimes we talk about self-care and people talk about, massages and all that kind of stuff. But when you're talking about the kind of focus and being a workaholic, and you're right, there are a lot of folks who benefit from that. But you as an individual who's in that space, you have to be really, really vigilant around how you divide your time. Clearly, you want to make a difference and you want to make an impact. But you can't continue to do that if you're exhausted and worn out and beaten down. So yeah, the self-care kind of light stuff that we talk about is important, but it's also important for you to include something in your life that allows you to nourish your spirit in a deeper way. And only you know what that is. So my advice always is to take some time to just kind of journal about that. Maybe you can sit still and just with a notepad say, what is it that I really need right now? What's missing? What's missing physically? What's missing emotionally? What's missing mentally? What's missing spiritually? What's missing in my environment? Really ask those questions and jot that down to really help you to understand, because sometimes we look outside of ourselves for people to help us to reel some of that in and create boundaries. But at the end of the day, who's responsible for that? You. You're responsible, but you need to know what it is that you need. And again, once you figure out what you need, is it something that you can do, or is it something that you reach beyond yourself to ask for help with? So I would encourage you to start looking up some information about how to create your own professional board of directors or your success squad. Get about 3 or 4 people who you can really begin to build a connection with, and have those, some of those relationships can last for the rest of your life. Some of them may come in and out, but there are people who you can go to and talk to and ask from their experience. You may have someone there who's been in your space of social work for a long time, perhaps, or maybe someone who's been there for maybe 5 to 10 years. Or you can look for someone who's not specifically in the social work space or doing that work, but someone who is well connected in the community. And so you can have a conversation with them. You decide who you want to be on this team, but I think it's important that all of us try to find ways to cultivate those kind of relationships, because I think they help us when we feel like we're drowning a little bit, or if we're in quicksand. They can offer that big giant branch to pull us out of that and help us to see things in a clearer way. Is that helpful at all? Does that make sense?
Yes, I think, that personal board, I know at least 2 people who are definitely on it. I don't reach out to enough. The questions you asked around what's missing, that nourishes my spirit. I think those are things, what do I really need right now? Just taking some time to ask myself those questions, I think would be helpful in different contexts. So I kind of want to pick a few things that I would want to do within my work, but also things that I would want to do maybe just outside of my work. And then those things that are like completely different. So in general, I've always strived to not do traditional social work. And I feel like I've created a career where I've done that, where every time people be like, oh, that's social work. I'm like, yup. And so that's still true for me. Like, I don't, it's like, don't want to fall into the trap, but also people need basic support. But I know that I'm not built to be well in those kind of spaces. And so how do I do it in a way that is aligned with who I want to be, so.
Right. And that's guilt-free. Yes.
Oof.
Where's it? What was that? Oof. Where'd that come from? Was it the
guilt-free? What do you mean by that?
Sometimes we feel guilty you mentioned that you're in a space where there's always something happening, there's always work to do. And sometimes when we want to kind of pull the plug a little bit and pull back, sometimes and I don't know if that's true for you, but it's certainly something to explore so that you can do it without feeling guilty about it. And it may not be on the surface. Maybe it's something underneath that you haven't explored. So just explore it. Maybe you'll find nothing, but maybe you'll find a whole bunch of stuff down there and you'll say, wow, ooh, yeah, I want to shake this off here. Does that help?
Much. It does.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate you chatting with me. That was cool.
Thank you so much, Avery.
As you go forward. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Oops. Next, I'm going to read through some of the more chats, see if anyone wants to jump on here, or then we've got some questions I know from Instagram.
Okay.
One of them from Julia says, the heart is that what I want, the heart is that what I feel inclined to do isn't usually lucrative, and success appears to require more sacrifice than I am capable of.
Okay, so is the individual who said that on are they here?
Yes, Julia, you are more than welcome to come off of mute if you'd prefer to stay off camera.
For a couple minutes.
Hi, yes, thank you. So I guess I think I'm finding myself struggling um when it comes to okay, so where do I want to go from here? Um and it seems like it's really hard to justify a career change, which is what I'm feeling drawn to when maybe honestly financial stability is very important to me. But it seems like a lot of the people I know in certain careers, and these are usually more helping careers, I'm going to be like, yes, I feel like oftentimes, that can be like public health, social work, unfortunately, these really critical, important roles. I feel like, even teaching is just so oftentimes underfunded,
Yep.
which is very sad. But yeah, how, like, I guess I just feel stuck because it doesn't seem like all the effort maybe going back to school. Is it worth it financially to be maybe in the same place I am now financially? And I know a lot of these helping careers, which is what I feel drawn to in some sense. I mean, I feel like, yes, a lot of the people I know in them tend to fall into burnout. There's I think as kind of we touched on earlier, I feel like there's this, yeah, there's a difficulty in I guess, boundaries is what's expected in those roles. It's just, I guess I'm trying to maybe I'm just not looking at the right careers. Maybe I haven't found something that's really a perfect fit, but I guess I'm just kind of stuck. It doesn't look like the grass is necessarily greener on the other side.
Okay, and sometimes it's not. We've been talking about the big resignation where people have been fleeing their jobs for something better, and now we're beginning to see articles where some of those folks are like, man, maybe I shouldn't have left. I should have stayed where I am. And so when we're trying to make a decision, if we're in a position and we're thinking, should I stay or should I go? Is that what I'm hearing you're saying? Is that it or no?
Yes, and
Okay.
and I guess
Okay.
it seems like yeah, that's I think that's hitting the nail on the head.
Okay, so if you're trying to decide whether to stay or whether to go, one thing I encourage clients to do is do what I call a work diagnostic, right? So think about when your car, you hear a noise or something's going on with your car and you don't know what it is. And so you take your car to the car dealer and you tell them, and they say, okay, we're going to do a diagnostic and we're going to figure out where it is. So they hook it up and they do all these different things and say, oh, there's a problem with your engine or something else, right? So you do a work diagnostic and you look at work, and I encourage clients to come up with their own segments and categories, but I give them some ideas. So you look at your current position and you say, okay, divide it into segments. You can make it into a pie, you can write it down on a piece of paper, whatever it is you want to do. But you look, if you're trying to, and again, I want to go back and just set this up. This is what I share when you're trying to figure out whether you should stay or leave. So first we look at, should I stay, before you start exploring leaving. So you do the diagnostic and you look at, okay, how satisfied am I in my relationship with my supervisor, with my colleagues, with the roles and duties that I have on a daily basis, with my benefits package, with my salary, with the culture, the company culture, the organizational culture, etc., with my time off. You really look at all of this, and I give a couple different, like I just said, a couple different examples of categories or segments, and you can add more because you look at your whole work-life situation in your position and maybe focus more specifically on your position. And then with each segment, say, how satisfied am I in this area on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very satisfied, 1 being not satisfied at all. And after you go through each one of these categories and segments, then you see, okay, where is the pain here? Ooh, there's a 3 here with company culture, organizational culture. And sometimes that can shift. When you started a position, it may have been one way, and maybe the people at the top have shifted and changed, and now maybe their values and your values aren't aligned anymore. And so maybe there is a challenge there, or maybe it's a challenge with your supervisor, maybe it's a challenge with the duties. In this case, with being in a role where you're taking care of people, that could be a category too. How satisfied am I with either the way the organization helps us manage that or how I'm managing that myself? That can even be 2 different categories. So my point is, maybe do a diagnostic and look at each one of these categories or segments and say, how satisfied am I in this area? And when you finish either with this pie, you can go to Canva and get an easy pie and put however many slices in there you want if you want a visual like that, or just write it out on a sheet of paper with each category and put a rating next to each one. Then go back and look at those ratings that are really low and ask yourself, is there a way for me to raise these? Is there a way for me to raise this area, this level of satisfaction in this area? And if it is, what can I start doing today to shift and change that? If it's outside of your control and you can't change it, then maybe that's one of those things that's a deal breaker for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any additional questions either about the exercise, doing the work diagnostic, or something else that you want to ask related to that?
So I guess in terms of I guess what I'm currently doing, I guess I kind of do the same thing for maybe what I'm looking to potentially get into, I guess the potential career, and run through the same, I guess, questions.
You can definitely do that. But for some, they're trying to, before they invest any time, energy, effort, and resources into now exploring their next position, they want to make sure that they're clear about leaving the one that they're at. So you may not necessarily be in that space. Maybe you're like, I want to explore both at the same time. That's certainly fine. But you can also look at one resource that I often share with individuals to go and just start exploring. Are you familiar with Department of Labor's mynextmove.org website?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay. So My Next Move, mynextmove.org. And so when you go to this site, there's going to be 3 different sections. The first one is a keyword search, and above it'll say, I want to be. So say you have specific keywords, things that you're definitely clear about, you're interested in, you want to do. The second one, the middle category, is industry browse. So maybe it says, I'll know it when I see it. So that will help you to kind of browse by industry. And I can't remember how many industries are there, but you can browse by industry. And then the other one is, I'm not really sure. And there's a little tiny short assessment. It's not really intense. It's not broad, but it's kind of a light assessment that you can kind of answer a few questions. And then it'll still reveal a number of different positions that you can explore. So then when you click on the position, it'll give you like an outlook, the salary, it'll talk about education and some things you may need. It may have some video clips and things that you can go and look at. But again, the site is mynextmove.org. And again, it's got the 3 sections when you get there. Either I want to be, I know it when I see it, or I'm not really sure. And so for some people, maybe they'll play with all of them. Certainly encourage you to still take the assessment, just for fun, just to see what comes up. But if you do have some clarity around where you think you might want to go, just pop some keywords in there and see what pops up. And then explore. You can really go down in there and start looking at a lot of different things. So I typically will encourage clients to maybe narrow it to 3 areas so you don't become overwhelmed, and just explore those 3. And then after you exhaust your level of curiosity with that, then move on to 3 others if you want to. Is that helpful?
Yes, very much so. I did not know about that resource. So I'm
So
happy to give that look into that.
Definitely check it out. And then from there, it can lead you to a number of other different things, because we don't have a shortage of information today. What our challenge is where to start, how to mine, and curate some of that information to our benefit. So definitely start there and then see where it will take you. And if the diagnostic is helpful for your current position, definitely take some time to just sit down and write through that and see where is the pain point. And if it's something within your control to be able to shift.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julia. Robbie, we have one more hand raised and then one question in the chat. So we have time for these last 2.
Okay.
And so next up, we have Precious.
Precious.
Yes. Don't have to turn on my camera. It's okay if if I don't turn it on.
That's fine. It's up to you. I would love to see your face, but if you don't want to show
All
it.
right. Okay. It's weird.
There.
All right. So my question is, how do you, when you asked the question, have you always known what you wanted to do? I don't think I've always really known. Growing up, you know, a lot of times it's always been, oh, you're good in math, so you should go pick things that are geared towards that. But that changed over time. And it was always like, you know, your parents telling you, go do this, or go become this, go and in my case, it was, oh, go do medicine. And so in college, the very first time I went to college, I had a bit of challenge with biology. And I think that kind of just discouraged me from that. And I took a different path. But eventually I went back and I became a nurse practitioner. And I've been doing that for almost like 15 years now. So my question is, I don't know if this is, or I'm getting to a point whereby I feel like I'm not really growing as much. At the same time, I'm experiencing what I would say it's almost like a burnout plus a stagnation combined together, plus feeling the need that I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I want to be in healthcare in a way, but not in the way that I am in at the bedside, so to speak. So, you know, during the pandemic, I made an attempt to try to get a master's in something like, you know, operations administration within healthcare. After doing all of that, I've not been successful in getting any position within that area, because whenever I send my resume, right, and one of the things that I'm finding out now is that number one, in order for you to move within the ranks of an organization, I always thought like you needed hard work, but it goes beyond hard work, right? You have to have mentorship. And so now I'm finding those things out. You have to have a mentor, you have to have, and so like now looking back, I realized that, you know, maybe I stayed too long in where I am, and now that is working against me. Even though it seems like, oh, you have so much experience. When people look at my resume, they say, you have so much experience. However, they keep trying to present me with the job that I'm trying to leave.
Okay.
You know, they keep trying to present me like the opportunities that I keep getting is the one that I'm trying to get away from. So, and I'm in this battle whereby, you know, I thought about leaving altogether, like just leaving healthcare, leaving the whole thing altogether. But my challenge is, number one, my age. I'm not quite that young anymore. Number two, you know, starting over, you know, salary wise, how would that impact me? Number three, if I really did not know what I wanted to be, you know, now just deciding, oh, okay, I'm going to go be, let me give an example, a lawyer. I'm going to go be a lawyer. Then I go spend 4 years or 3 years in law school, then to find out that, you know, that was not my interest. So that's where I'm finding myself, like, how to make that next transition into something different, but also how do I know what my interests are?
Okay.
You know, I don't know if this is a burnout versus this is an interest thing. I think that's where I find myself. Yeah.
So there's a lot there to unpack that we don't have time to unpack, but you can get a free consultation and let's talk more. And then
I'll do that.
I would love to be able to kind of unpack some of that and look at some of that. But right off the bat, when I'm listening to what you're saying, one thing a lot of times individuals do is when they want to do something, they say, okay, I need to go get a degree for this, and they go do it. In other words, you put the cart before the horse. Really figure out if you really, and I'm saying really in all capital letters, if that's something you want to do before you spend the time, energy, effort, and resources via getting another degree. So that's cool that you're willing to do that, but it's important to save yourself some time if that ends up not being the thing that's right for you. So a good thing to do, because we can't test everything literally, right? But what we can do is have informational interviews with people who are doing what we think we may want to do. So right within your space where you are, can you identify 2 or 3 people who are doing what you think you might want to do?
Yeah. And I
Okay.
have had those interviews.
Yeah. And what did you
Yeah.
learn from them?
Well, I guess maybe I didn't ask the right questions, because I think the questions I was asking more was, how do I get a job in those areas?
Okay, so the
And
purpose of
so,
an informational interview, that's part of it. But what
right.
I challenge clients to do when they're trying to figure this out is to come up with 20 questions that you want to ask this person. And you
Okay.
ask them, okay, I want about a 20 to 30-minute conversation. I try to get someone who's new in that space, someone who's been in that space maybe about 5 years or so, or maybe 5 to 10, and someone who's been in that space for a longer time. That may be harder on the longer time end, but there are still folks in the workforce who have been in a space and they've been in there for a long time. So they have a lot to offer in the way of experience. But the informational interviews, by you challenging yourself to come up with 20 questions, you're exhausting all the questions that you have about this particular role. Most of the time, people just talk to someone, they say, how can I get a job in this space? That's a question, but it's not the only question. There are so many other questions to ask, Precious. Like, how did they get into it? What are the pros and cons? What are my daily, what are do the daily responsibilities look like? What kind of education did you have, and did you need it? You may not have, maybe they didn't even need that education.
So okay, let me just give an example. Like, I thought about transitioning to something within clinical research.
Okay.
Okay. So I had a friend of mine that is, I guess you would say, she would be more of the senior person, management person. And she introduced me to somebody who is more of the newer in the field. And I've had multiple conversations, but you know, when you don't really know what you like, in my mind, I'm thinking I want to go into clinical research. Then when you start talking to the people, then you find out they're like over 100 different roles, thousands of roles within clinical research. And you don't even, you know, and every role, and this is something like I didn't, you know, for me, because coming from healthcare, you're either you're a nurse, you can be a nurse practitioner, but it's not like the roles is so, but you get in there, you find out there's so many different roles, and you know, and the entry for each one is different. And then when you're talking to some people, they say, well, you know, with your experience, you shouldn't go too low. You don't want to go here. You don't want to go here. So I've asked a lot of questions, and I have, like you said, I'm still talking. I'm just having a hard time. Like, I don't know, just it's been discouraging. But anyway, you know, I think
I get it. It can be discouraging when you're trying to figure that out. And you're right. As soon as you decide on, for example, an industry, then they say, okay, within that industry, where do you want to go? And okay, within that, where do you want to go? And then the idea is that you keep narrowing. You have to keep narrowing. And you can't be afraid to make a mistake. Now, when I say not be afraid to make a mistake, I'm not saying go out and get a whole degree and then like, oops, because that's time and money, right? You're trying to avoid making that investment before you know that that's a path that you want to go down. But you're going to have, you know, maybe you can shadow someone, ask someone to shadow them. I encourage you not to be discouraged. And I know that's easier said than done because you're exploring. So look at this as a way to continue to learn more. And you're not starting from scratch if you decide to go down a different route. You're starting from experience. I saw that quote recently somewhere and I'm like, I love that, because you're not starting from scratch. Don't ever dismiss the experience that you stand on and that you have. You're going to be able to use that to navigate and move to your next step, but be patient with the process. Keep asking questions. And as you're asking those questions, think, what can I do to explore this more? Maybe I can shadow someone. There are, you know, YouTube videos of individuals who may be talking about certain things. There are podcasts where people are talking in various different professions about what's going on in that space. So expand your learning in that area to learn more and more from people who are in those spaces about what's available, what challenges they have, and how they're solving their problems in that area. I don't know if that's helpful, but if we did have a chance to talk more, we would kind of dig a little deeper to be able to help you to say, okay, narrow this down and look at these three, and then see from an exhaustive perspective if those fit and how they feel. Do they feel right? Do they feel like something where you really want to contribute? Then move on to the next. Most of the time with clients, narrowing it down to three and then kind of going deeper in those three is pretty much where we end up. And then they, oh yes, this is what I want to do. I just had that happen yesterday with a client. So I hope this was helpful, but sign up for a free consultation and let's talk more.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Precious. And then Robbie, that actually answered a lot of what the other question was.
Cool.
Real quick though, if you had any, there's one extra sentence if you want to tap on real quick. It says that they're feeling like time is not on their side, but still determined to figure out a direction. Any quick advice you have for that?
Yes. The whole thing about time, as long as you're breathing, there's time, right? We get sometimes tangled up in age. And is ageism real? Yes, it is real. But it depends on so many different factors. It depends on the industry. It depends on where you are, like what your position. I mean, again, there's so many different variables to look at, but don't, from a time perspective, like what are you in a rush for, right? Sometimes when I use the analogy of coaching and we're on a journey, I say, as you're moving through the career development process, I want to prevent clients from having to make a U-turn because they've been so excited about just pushing on the accelerator. And if you do it right, and you really take the time to kind of figure out what it is that you want, why you want it, right? Figure out your who, what, and why first, then the when, where, and how. And if you give yourself time to do that, then you're not going to be taking a whole lot of U-turns because you're going to find yourself at another crossroads. Today, we're going to shift jobs and change positions several times. And it's not just younger people, it's everyone, because we're getting to a point where we're speaking up more on behalf of ourselves and saying, this isn't working anymore, can I shift? So as you meet each one of these crossroads, you want to be able to move forward. Even if you're starting at 50, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, right? And so then look at places that you don't want to be working somewhere anyway with anybody who doesn't respect your experience that you bring to the table anyway. So then we would start talking about where can you go, where your experience and what you have to offer is actually valued, right? And there are places and spaces where that actually happens. So that's what I would say, I guess, to that quickly. There are a couple of resources I want to share really quick, Justice. I'm a heavy reader, so if, definitely take a look at these, and if they resonate with you, definitely, but if they don't worry about it. But the first one is The Crossroads of Should and Must by L. Luna. The second one is I Could Do Anything If I Only Knew What It Was by Barbara Sher, and her last name is S-H-E-R. The next one that I've really enjoyed, that's in my top 10, is The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope, and that's Stephen with a P-H and a Cope, C-O-P-E. And then the last one, not the last one, but I had to kind of limit it to 4 because I could have had a list that would go on forever. This Time I Dance, Creating Work You Love by Tama, T-A-M-A, Keeves, K-I-E-V-E-S, okay? So,
and then just so everyone is aware, we will have all of these linked in the follow-up email that we sent yesterday, along with the recordings. You can go back and watch through this and see those links. But real quick here at the top of the hour before we wrap up. So are you ready to create a life you love? As you've seen here today, it can be so hard to make time for yourself, to prioritize your goals, find ways to grow your career, your network, and your personal life, and definitely maintain the progress you saw while working with a coach or having an introductory conversation with someone like Robbie. So if you enjoyed the settings like this, let's imagine coming to a place every week where you can learn, grow, and be held accountable to becoming the best version of yourself. Build long-lasting network with like-minded people, regularly learn about new ideas, techniques, and resources, and feel challenged and supported every step of the way. So Amala Vida is proud to now introduce the ALV community. It's a brand new offering that we are excited about. And here is what is included in your membership. So this includes 2 group coaching calls per week, and these will be exclusive to the community members. The calls will be offered at different times and days to kind of accommodate for a variety of schedules. And only people in the community have this offering. Not even our normal members have this. So it's very exclusive to that way you can really get close and bond with the people in your community. You have full access to our e-coaching dashboards. You get to use our proprietary e-coaching modules to help you guide you through the exercises, reflect on journaling prompts, and begin integrating the lessons and learnings into your day-to-day life. And then you also get access to members only events. In addition to the 8 monthly group coaching calls, you'll also be invited to all of these. And the next upcoming one, I'm hosting with one of our coaches, Sherry, and it's navigating gender, race, and everything else in the workplace. So we'd love to see some of your faces there at that event on November 3rd. And also, one thing that we're really excited about is member-only add-on sessions. So you have access to single one-on-one coaching sessions with coaches or resume rewrite add-ons. This is an offering that's not available to the public. If you do have a normal membership with us, you have the opportunity to purchase add-on sessions, and we're including people in the community in this category. So you have the opportunity to have a one-on-one session with Robbie if you wanted to, or any of the other amazing coaches on our team. This is a really big perk that we're really excited to offer to people that maybe aren't ready to jump into the full one-on-one coaching by themselves, but want to get their toes wet in water and meet like-minded individuals. So in addition to the membership itself, it does come with bonuses. And so you get added into our company Slack channel. And that is about 700 people plus, where we ask questions, post job descriptions, challenges, celebrations, and really just, it's a very healthy environment we've been able to create. And we're really happy to welcome new people into it all points of time. So if anyone has any interest in any of the new offerings we do have available, I'm going to go ahead, and the top link here is the link to my calendar if you're interested in one-on-one coaching. The middle link is directly to our website where you can see our different offerings, compare the pricing. And then the third part is our community membership, which our community membership is really nicely priced at $99 per month. And if you are interested in jumping into this and getting your feet wet, if you use the promo code community, you will save 30% off of your first month. So again, this is something really new and we're really excited to roll out to everyone. And we would love to see some of your faces at some of the other events. We've got events ranging from career, life, all sorts of things. So whatever you want to pop into, it's open to you because you just have 8 of them a month. And, lastly, so if you need to get in touch with us, you got Robbie or me, or you can pick up a consult at the link provided above. But other than that, we are at the top of the hour. And we really want to thank everyone for spending part of your Wednesday here with us. Robbie, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with everybody?
I want to say that tomorrow morning, I have a group. I'm part of one of the coaches that's working with the group, the community coaching. And so I'm doing one tomorrow. So if you want to slide in there and take advantage of the group coaching membership, I have one going on. And I think it's a really good deal to get, a couple different sessions each week. And so, yeah, so know that that's it. And then I got another event coming next month that's very similar to this, but I'm focusing on, I got too many interests. So there you go.
And then one little plug about the group coaching membership. If everybody signs up for the membership and no one shows up for the session but you, that's technically a one-on-one session that you got for $99. So you could potentially have 8 sessions for $100 all by yourself. So there is that.
Could be at the beginning while we're getting started. That's
absolutely. So highly encourage everyone to take advantage of that. And if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But thanks again, everyone, for your time today. And we hope
y'all for coming. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.